We are living through something historic. A president who thought he could bend the United States government to his will, and a justice system that just told him no. Donald Trump has just suffered one of his biggest courtroom defeats yet, losing control over the government shutdown he tried to use as a weapon. For weeks, his administration treated the shutdown not as a national crisis to solve, but as a political stunt to exploit. They believed that if they dragged it out long enough, Democrats would take the blame. They were wrong. Federal judges across the country have begun striking back, limiting Trump's power to manipulate agencies like the Department of Justice and the FBI. This is not just another legal scuffle. This is the system defending itself. The plan began inside Trump's circle to hold the nation hostage by cutting off funding until Congress bent to his demands. He claimed Democrats cared more about illegal immigrants than about Americans. Even the White House comment line carried a recorded propaganda message from Press Secretary Carolinelevitt repeating that claim. That message, paid for by taxpayer dollars, wasn't just dishonest, it was illegal. A clear violation of the Hatch Act, which forbids using government resources for partisan political purposes. Federal watchdogs and public interest groups quickly filed complaints. The Office of Special Counsel, which enforces the Hatch Act, was already paralyzed by the shutdown, but those complaints are now waiting in line, ready to move once the system restarts. Meanwhile, judges from Washington, D.C. to California have begun issuing orders to block or delay Trump's tactics. They're saying clearly, no president has the right to weaponize a shutdown to gain political power. Meanwhile, the shutdown's damage keeps spreading. Thousands of federal workers have been furloughed without pay. Unions like AFG and AFSCME have filed lawsuits accusing the administration of illegal firings and violations of anti-deficit laws. Under the 1884 Anti-Deficiency Act, the president cannot spend or withhold money at will during a shutdown. Trump's attempt to override that law has now become one of the key legal battles of this crisis. At the same time, the administration is challenging back pay guarantees under the 2019 Fair Treatment Act, the very law meant to protect federal workers during funding gaps. Trump's lawyers argue that back pay shouldn't be automatic. That argument shocked both parties and triggered a new wave of legal action from unions and labor advocates. And while all this unfolds, Trump's public behavior continues to erode his credibility. On social media, he mocked Democrats with an AI-generated video showing Senator Chuck Schumer and Representative Hakeem Jeffries in racist caricature. He thought it was satire, but it exposed how far he's willing to go to distract from the chaos he created. While his administration struggles to function, Trump reportedly spent days lobbying the Nobel Committee, trying to win a peace prize for himself after issuing symbolic foreign policy statements that achieved nothing. It's a perfect picture of his presidency: self-promotion over substance, distraction over responsibility. Meanwhile, the real consequences are piling up. Federal courts have warned that they can only keep minimal operations running until mid-October. The Treasury Department, labor analysts, and economists have halted the release of key data, including job numbers, that the Federal Reserve relies on to set interest rates. Critics say this was no accident. Trump wanted to change the weather in the room, hiding the economic damage by blocking official reports. But private payroll data already show the truth. Job growth has stalled, and markets are uneasy. The bond market is flashing warning signs of serious economic harm across the country. Ordinary citizens are waking up to what's really happening. The shutdown is not about protecting the country. It's about protecting one man's image. It's about using chaos to cling to power. And this time, that chaos is turning on its creator. Judges like James Boasberg in D.C. have refused to suspend major civil and voting rights cases. They're granting extensions, but not giving in. They've made it clear the Department of Justice cannot hide behind the shutdown to escape accountability. In California, courts are moving forward with cases brought by federal worker unions accusing the administration of violating multiple laws to shrink and punish the civil service. Much of this traces back to russvought, the architect of Project 2025 and the head of the Office of Management and Budget. For years, he's pushed to dismantle federal programs, especially in blue states, under the banner of efficiency. But now, those same plans are being exposed as political revenge disguised as fiscal policy. And under the microscope of federal judges, those plans are starting to crumble. The judiciary is reasserting its independence. The system is holding the line. For every manipulation, there's now a motion. For every abuse of power, there's a ruling to check it. And Trump's team is learning the hard way that chaos is not a governing strategy. He may try to claim absolute immunity, but his aides and appointees don't have that shield. The Hatch Act violations, the misuse of taxpayer money, the propaganda voicemails, the union lawsuits, all of them are piling up. And when the courts reopen fully, those cases will move forward. The legal tide is turning, and this time, it's turning against him. This isn't just about one shutdown. It's about whether the presidency can ever again operate above the law. Trump tried to prove that one man could bend democracy until it broke. Instead, the system is proving that even the most powerful man in the country must obey the rules. So what now? It starts with awareness. Don't tune out. Don't shrug and say politics is always like this. It's not. This is different. This is a stress test for American democracy, and it's happening in real time. If you care about checks and balances, if you believe that power should serve the people, then stay informed. Call your representatives. Demand accountability. Because silence is complicity. Trump thought he could force America into submission by shutting it down. Instead, he's the one being shut down. By the courts, by the workers, by the law, and by the people who refuse to be fooled again. The courts have spoken. The government belongs to the nation, not to one man. And that truth, no matter how hard anyone tries to bury it, will stand.